Okay, so I'm going to call our meeting to order. This is the April 19th, 2023 meeting of the Conservation Commission, and it is now 7:04. We'll do a roll call. We have Marilyn Schreiber, Nora Jones, Jackie Kulig, Carol Jordan, and myself, Kathleen Demers.
I'll
Let's
move to seat Nora for Patty.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Aye.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any opposition? So moved. Okay. All right. Like to ask for approval of the minutes for March 15th, 2023.
So moved.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I don't know. I don't think I was present at last month's meeting.
Okay.
I pull back from that. I'm sorry. I don't
Okay.
think I was present.
Okay. Thanks, Marilyn. Jackie, were you there last time? I can't remember. I'll move to.
No, I wasn't, but I was just looking at the minutes. It looks like Marilyn was there, but I don't think I was.
Okay, then you can put me back in.
Okay.
It's hard to remember,
Okay.
time
Yeah.
flies.
Okay, and I'll second that. Is there discussion on the minutes? Carol, I remember you mentioned.
This is the typo that should say CJ instead of CD. Other than that, I don't think there was anything.
Okay. All right, if no other discussion, all in favor of approving the minutes of March 15th, 2023, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain?
Aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay.
I guess I should abstain too because I wasn't there.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just for the record, I don't believe you have to abstain as long as you've read them. Is that, Carol, is that your understanding?
Really don't, that's something I'm not sure of. You
Okay.
can't, you'd have to ask somebody else.
Okay, all right. Present to speak, doesn't look like anybody's with us tonight. Carol, could you give us a report on expenditures?
Yeah, since the last meeting, we paid, or I submitted bills for $200 for signs of all kinds, and $186.06. I put that in pencil. We were supposed to get a $4.12 discount for prompt payment. If that happened, it's $186. And the chestnut trees arrived in good shape. So with the total expenditures to date are $795.30, leaving a balance, unencumbered balance of a little over $700.
Okay, thanks, Carol. Okay, and then I had paid ahead of time for the chestnut trees. Do we want to take a vote?
I think we had already approved that, and that bill has already been submitted. I
Oh.
submitted bills for the two signs of all kinds, for the Talmadge signs, to reimburse you for the chestnut trees, and material for the Talmadge signs from Willard's. Those are the three things that have been paid out since the last meeting.
Okay, thank you, Carol.
Yeah,
All
but then that check will probably is being probably got drawn on Monday, because that was, the selectmen only meet on the first and third Mondays, and that might have been postponed because of I think they had, I don't know if they had Easter Monday off, so it should be, yeah, you should get, if you haven't gotten the check yet, you should get it shortly. And if not, I can follow up and see, but I assumed that there would be a meeting the third week of the month.
Okay,
or
yeah, I'm not worried about, when the check is coming. I just wanted to make sure if we needed to have a motion to reimburse.
No,
it.
but I think that was taken care of before. Once we authorize buying something, that pretty much, and I don't know if we had an estimated cost anyway, it doesn't matter, but I'm pretty sure it was approved. I think we're more careful about approving our expenditures than many of the town organizations are in some ways, so, or at least as conscientious.
Okay, great. Okay, and I know that Carol, you had asked me if I could try to move up any items that needed action tonight, because you said, you may not be able to stay the whole meeting. Is that still true,
Yeah,
or do you want me to?
yeah, I would prefer to leave early if possible, but,
Okay,
and
sure.
we've got 5 people, so you can still, if I sneak out, then you still have enough for a quorum.
sure, okay.
then
So
the
I'll,
ARPA And the other thing to report on, I think, is the ARPA funds for paying for the management plan, the updated management plan for Knowlton and Talmadge were finalized. So that money has been spent. We still haven't spent any of the money that was set aside for materials for trail development and maintenance. But the ARPA, at least the one more ARPA project, has been completely completed and taken care of. So that's good to know.
So that's interesting, because that does beg a question if moving forward, even for, well, we can think about it. If we have our own budget funds to be able to pay, if we need any more materials, if we should be using the ARPA funds or if we should be using our budget funds, we can talk about that as we move forward.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and it's, it depends on how secure the ARPA funds are. Reading the article in the paper about some of the discussion on the federal budget, there are some folks that want to get rid of unused ARPA funds. So we might want to keep that in mind. But on the other hand, if we don't use up our budgetary funds, they just fall through to surplus anyway. So, but that's something, just to keep in mind. And that's the only other project outstanding, right?
okay, right. Okay, so the Talmadge Estate property, I just wanted to let folks know that the finance office did let me know that they got a message that the grant award was being deposited in the town's account. That's for $81,250. And Donna did email to say that 19% of that amount would be going back into the open space fund, because that's the amount that was taken out of the open space fund to help with the land purchase. So that's going to be $15,437 that'll be going back into the open space fund.
Is that Kathy?
the-
15.
$15,437.
Yeah, okay.
And the rest of it, $65,812 will be going to the reserve, because the money came out of the reserve for part of the land as well. We're going to have our
And that's going into the open space fund.
15,437. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And Saturday, we're going to be having our event to work on brushing out the new trail. And that'll be at 10 o'clock, and we'll be meeting in the parking lot at Mason Road. Bob and Chris put up the post for the sign, the new sign at the trailhead for the Split Rock Trail, and they have the backer board on it. We have picked up the 2 signs from Signs of All Kinds. One is for the new trail, and one is to replace the Talmadge Spur Trail sign because of the addition of Eleanor's name. Okay, so we do have the signage. I'm not sure if we should put the sign up until the trail is totally blazed and open. Otherwise, we might have people going down there. So we'll see how much we get done on Saturday. Hopefully we can get the whole trail done. Any questions on Saturday? Does anybody here know if they'll be able to come or not?
Mark and I will join you.
Great.
I am
then-
not available. I don't.
And we just need to bring loppers. Are there any tools? I know Chris is pretty well, so. Do you need any other tools other than loppers, gloves, saws?
No. You can bring, if you have a small like pruning saw, that might be
Okay.
helpful just to, I think we don't have any major trees to take down. We kind of
Right.
made the trail, Jackie and I went out and we looked at the trail and we kind of made it so it goes with the natural character of the way the trees are growing, but there are some small saplings and branches that might be overhanging from larger trees that we'll have to trim. So, Jackie, did you say you wouldn't be able to come, or?
I don't think I'll be able to make it, unfortunately.
That's okay, we understand, and we do have some other volunteers coming besides the Conservation Commission, so
Yay.
I probably have about, 8 of us, so that would be good.
Oh, good.
So, yep. Let's see, and then the new trail maps. Jackie was kind enough to you know how anal I am about getting things done, and she made several reiterations at my request, and it came out wonderful. Thank you, thank you.
Oh, and
Um,
unfortunately, I didn't hit Sides of All Kinds early enough today to talk to them about the cost of doing the color of a brochure with one side color and the other side black and white print. But I'll try and do that tomorrow. And
Yeah, and I was gonna say, Carol, we can't use the new trail map quite yet because it has to get the QR code put on it.
oh, okay, that's fine.
So,
I was
yeah.
just going to take them in the previous map just to give them an idea of what we'd be looking at and how much it would cost. Because if we don't go down on that road, we probably will not be able to make our own things by printing them at the town office building because of the cost of color printing. So I thought as well as ordering another 100 of and maybe, I don't know if that's something we want to agree to, is getting 100 more copies of the Taylor Pond Trail Guide, because we're down to our last half dozen or something like that, Nora, right?
Yeah, there were 7 and that was right before vacation, right? 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago, 3 weeks
Yeah.
ago.
Mhm.
So,
Well, I have,
While you're-
I'll talk, I think we should just go ahead and order in 100 more. Because we've
Sure.
got plenty of money left in the budget and we might as well use it up and.
Okay,
I'll
do we want to
second
make a
that.
motion?
I'll second that.
Any more discussion on making the trail map for the Talmadge? Okay, I'm just writing this down, sorry. I can't do it real quick. All right, Carol and Marilyn, all in favor, say aye.
That's
Aye.
for the
Aye.
new
Opposed?
trail map or. Well,
the
at this
trail-
point, I think we
Oh,
want to
I'm
order,
sorry, trail guides.
that's the trail guides, order 100 more Taylor Pond Trail Guides.
Okay, all in favor? Say
Aye.
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 Okay, so moved. All right, and then Carol, if you can also get a price quote on the trail map.
And I
That
got
would be
price
great.
quotes on that, on doing that. And we can get a quote if we know we have enough information that they could give us a quote on how much it would be to do it color one side and black and white on the other, I think, without having to commit at this point. And we need to come up. Kathy did a lot of work on writing up the trail description, so it's just a matter of reviewing that and editing it a little bit, just to see if it needs any tweaking, and then we'll be set to go once the map is ready.
Okay,
Right.
I mean, if we're going to, I'm just wondering, Carol, if once the map is ready with the QR code, and what I have to do is take the map that Jackie made, I send it to Tish, she puts it on the town website. Once it's on the website, Jackie can go back and she creates a QR code from the URL. Is that correct, Jackie?
Okay, yeah, so we
Okay.
can wait until that's done, and that, because we would want to have a map that incorporated into the brochure that has the QR code, right?
Right, exactly. And then
Yeah,
we'll
so
also
there's-
make, yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm wondering is, do we really need to, if I was able to get that to you before our next meeting, do we want to just agree tonight that we would move forward to say have 100 of those made as well? I don't know how much it would be, but like you said, we have enough money. I don't know if we want to wait till next meeting in May and then have to
Right.
go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I apologize, I haven't got a quote on that yet, and I haven't had a chance to. I've been
That's okay.
not,
that-
next time,
but-
outside, out flat for the whole next week of next week, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, but what I'm saying is, once you do go down
Yeah.
anyway to order the trail guides, Taylor Pond Trail Guides, and if we have the map ready by then, do you want to just move forward to order the trail
Oh, no, go ahead,
brochures as
we'll
well
go ahead and
before our
get the
next meeting?
trail. Why don't we go check the trail brochures, and it might make sense just to circulate a copy of the trail of the text of the trail guide before, just for people to take a look at, see if anybody has any comments on it before we get it finalized, if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
But I will
I-
definitely talk with them, this week or early next week to see if I can price it out at least, and then I can send that information on as well. But we
Okay.
would probably in the future need to have them be the ones that do the printing of that trail guide, which I think be fine, be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's nice too, if you're working with Rich, is you can just email him what you want done. You don't even have to physically go down. If you send him a digital copy of the map and the text, and you can ask him for a quote, and he'd get back to you, and then you can just give him permission to move forward
Right,
with it.
that's why I was gonna email him the map, because I don't have the ability to print color anyway.
Yeah, okay. All right, great. So we'll get that done. We don't have to worry about, authorizing that at this point then. If we're all in agreement, we'd move forward on that.
Yeah, I think in general agreement that that's what we want to do, is to do a single page brochure with the trail descriptions, because there's not the same kind of historic information that we have in Taylor Pond that was important to the family and that kind of thing. So
Yeah, okay, great. And then as far as the dedication, I finally was able to get in touch with Kathy Coburn. And she told me that she did get in touch with family members. And at this point, there's a lot going on in their family. They have some weddings and so on. And she said that they really weren't going to be available in May or June to do it. And she said, at this point, do whatever we thought we wanted to do. Then she emailed me back and she said, well, if you want to think about doing something in September or October. And I said I would, throw it out to the commission and see where people want to go. So what are your thoughts on kind of opening up the trail, Split Rock Trail, and get it used this summer without having a big dedication? What do you think?
I think we should do that.
Yeah.
Open it up, and we should recognize the how the property was acquired at that time. But if we want to have a formal dedication, we can hold off until the fall. And if we still have difficulty figuring out a date, then perhaps what we need to do is just pick a date and open it up. So at least have a soft opening this spring, so that it's available for use, and we try and get some publicity about that at the same time, so that the public is aware that the trail is open.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts on that?
No, that makes sense. The sometimes families have a hard time getting everybody herded into one area on one day.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I would just like to see us, basically open up the trail, and I'm
Right.
not quite sure if we're going to be able to do something like like we're talking about a soft opening. I certainly can get publicity out about it in multiple ways that the trail is now open. As far as holding something on a day in May or June, I'm not sure at this point if we want to do something more formal. I mean, not the dedication per se, but having kind of a kickoff walk or something. Maybe we can have a walk in the fall, a publicized walk.
Yeah.
I personally don't see any reason not to go ahead and just, have a publicized event and try and do that. When is the next time there would be available to put something in the Wellington Wire?
Not until June.
Not till June. Yeah, but
That's okay. That'll be here before you know it.
yeah. Yep.
Well, the thing is, do we want to open up the trail? I mean, publicize that the trail is open once it's ready to go, once we've got it blazed and we have the sign up, and, which I think we could probably end up getting done before the end of May. I'm just worried about us having some kind of a published event where we're going to have a day where people can come out and just, okay, the trail's officially open. I can't tell you that I'm going to be able to commit to being around for like a June weekend. So unless somebody else wants to take that on, and I'd be happy to do the publicizing, but I don't know if I could be physically there.
Yeah, and my experience with the Talmadge property, we didn't have I don't, did we even have a formal opening of the Talmadge Trail the first
Mm-hmm.
time? I don't.
Mhm.
And I know that with Knowlton, there was not a huge crowd that turned out for that event either. And, you know, I think the best thing is to get it up and going would be just to go ahead and do something. And we can catch up with the family later on
Okay,
for a formal event that we could host.
okay,
I agree. I think that's a good idea.
all right. Any other comments? Okay, so we'll look at just kind of getting it off the ground with some publicity and looking to do something maybe in the fall. We can talk about it this summer.
Yeah.
All right, great. Let's see, moving on, Fenton Ruby Park. I haven't had anything reported back to me by the trail stewards about any new concerns on the trails. I did let them know that if they could get out there and just double check too, because we had a lot of wind in the last month or so. Haven't heard back from anybody. And last week, Jackie and Patty and I went out and we planted the 2 new little chestnut trees. They're pretty cute. They're about what, they're just like whips, you know, and the buds are not even out yet, so it's gonna take a while, but we planted one in the area that's near the picnic area, and then one out by the other tree that's up where the tree harvest had been, which is a significant walk out there. Patty has offered to water them through the summer because she's at the park a lot, which is great. Chris went out the other day and he watered he watered both of them. Unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of rain this week.
No.
So
No,
it's not good for the trees and everything too. I just see everything budding out and then not having any water. It's really sad. Okay. Knowlton Preserve, we talked about this weekend. There was a report of a campfire in the parking lot on Mason Road. A couple weeks ago, a resident noticed it and went out and actually extinguished it. And I have made Erica aware of it and asked if the state police could possibly do a little bit more monitoring, especially on weekend nights. So we'll see if that reoccurs. Let's see, when we were out there putting up the posts for the new Split Rock Trail, we brought out 2 posts and we put them in the ground in the parking lot, onto the side of the parking lot where we had talked about putting a kiosk at some point. So those are in the ground, and hopefully we can at least maybe have a trailhead start there that connects with the Knowlton Spur, like Jackie has put on the map. So we can work on that in the next few weeks as well. Maybe just, it's not very far from the parking lot to the Knowlton Trail, and we can blaze it with some paint, and people can start there instead of having to walk down the road. I did talk to Troy at Public Works about the big rock pile. I don't know if some of you were aware, there's a huge rock pile that's on the side of the parking lot when they had taken down. Do you remember the original parking lot had kind of an island in the beginning? And they just basically bulldozed that into one corner of the parking lot. So I'd asked him if they could move the rocks, maybe just, to the other side of the road where there's already an old rock wall or something, not place them in any kind of nice pattern, but just get them so they're not a big pile, which is actually leaning against 2 trees right now, the rock pile. So that could do some damage to their roots and things that they don't, and so he said that they would look into that and see if they could do that. So I don't have anything to report on. One other thing, I wanted to go back. So for the new Talmadge Split Rock Trail, Chris has created some signs that basically have the name of the trail and then directional signs when you're on the trail, because it starts off as like a stem and then it turns into a lollipop loop. So he made some signs that kind of show directionally, where things go. And then there's a another portion of the trail where it could get a little confusing. We don't have enough trees to really paint. It's down an old woods road, and just he's made some more signs that we can put on posts so that people know where to go. And we're gonna need 2 more pressure treated posts, 12 feet long, 4x4, to be able to accomplish that. So I wanted to see if people were okay with us getting back to Willards and getting 2 more 12-foot posts for that project.
I move that you purchase anything that's necessary to provide the necessary directional signs for the trail.
Okay. Now here's second.
I second. That was
Thanks.
me, Marilyn. That
Okay,
was me.
Marilyn, thank you. Okay, thank you, Marilyn. Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Okay. So moved. Thank you. All right. All right, moving on to town development. There's nothing that I've heard communication wise from anybody about things that are going on in town. Collaborative organization and news and communication. I, again, don't have anything to report. Anybody have anything? Any other organizations you belong to? Nobody ended up going to the CLCC conference, I guess, either, right? Okay. Regional Pollinator Pathway Initiative. I did check back with the Girl Scouts, and they said that they would try to do a little bit of maintenance on the pollinator garden at Fenton Ruby Park this summer. But I'm not sure, really what kind of time they're going to spend there. So we may have to consider watering those plants as well, and maybe sharing that some way. So I'll check with Patty too to see. I don't want it to always be on her shoulders. It's a little
And I
more
could
work.
do it. I could do it when after my grass comes in, because we're using a lot of water to get our grass in. But if it, during the summer, I could help out with that too.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. And
We're
what I don't-
running the well like all day
Wow.
long. So
Wow. Well, I know what the Girl Scouts used to do is they used to take a pail and then they would go out to the fishing platform and they would just
Oh,
scoop out water and then just walk it up to the, the
Okay.
plants there. It probably takes a couple bucketfuls,
okay, I can do that.
season.
I can
And I-
help out with that.
and I know that their initial planning included some annuals, and I think the idea was to gradually replace those with perennials as things developed. So I don't know whether
Right.
they'll continue doing that, but that might be something we might consider as well, to make it as much perennial as possible. So that would be less maintenance than to
Yeah.
replant.
Well, if you want, maybe next meeting, we can look at what we have left in budget funds, in May.
If
and
we
then
have, if we have money, that would be the time. It's a little bit early to think about putting stuff in the ground. Now, anyway, particularly with so little rain, and that makes it difficult to get stuff.
And we might want to consider buying some bags of mulch. I noticed that they're $7.99 a bag at Mansfield Supply, and Price Chopper generally has mulch too, bark mulch, and you can get it in red, which is, but you can get it in black, and I would imagine it's at about the same price point. And
If
that way you can at least get some ability to keep the rain in, because it will just fall on the soil and
Yeah.
wind pick it up and just, desiccate the area.
Yeah, and but we need to make sure that the soil is moist when we put the mulch down.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but if we, and Mansfield Supply, you get a discount if you order, I think it's 5 bags at a time, and that
Yeah.
would probably need that much anyway. So that's
Yeah.
something that can be done
We-
there.
We have plenty of wood chips that we could just put down for free if you
Yeah,
guys are okay with
Okay.
wood chips.
yeah.
Jackie, is that something you could do at some point and do that, or, I mean,
Yeah, I'll
or
have to
would you
look
want us
and
to?
see how big the garden is, just see how much I would need. But yeah, I should be
Oh,
able to do
okay.
that at some point. But yeah, I guess we would have to figure out if we're putting other plantings in first, or I guess we could plant through it. But
Yeah.
plant
kind of see
through.
what.
I don't know how much of it mulch is still left. There's a
It's
fair.
Yeah,
not bad,
see
actually.
what comes up, make sure I don't bury anything too deeply, but maybe in a, 3 weeks or so, most things will be up that are perennials,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would assume.
Okay. And I'll double check too with Connie to see if they do plan to put some more plants in, if maybe they have other sources at this point, because I know she told me she had, I'm trying to remember if she said she had planted some seeds, she had winter sown some seeds that she had gotten from the pollinator initiative, local pollinator initiative. So she may have some annuals or perennials too to put in. So like you said, maybe if we wait a few weeks, we can kind of see where we're at. So, okay.
I know that Barbara Clark is always willing to, hand over bulbs in the fall. She splits her stuff and shares it with the neighbors, and so
Hmm.
that might be something too.
I
She's
could
got a-
do that too. I
Yeah.
have at least 200 daffodils all over the yard. I could, but I usually don't do that until October. I don't usually
Yeah, right.
dig them up until October. That's when they like to be moved.
Mhm.
I could certainly donate some as well.
I think when we're talking about, just because I've looked into this myself, I have daffodils. I don't think that daffodils are really great pollinator plants.
Oh, okay.
But we
Yeah, they
might,
don't really have, you don't usually see bees and, or even
No.
butterflies going to them, right? They must not have the right stuff.
there was a bumblebee on my Dutchman's britches flower the other day. So there are some, I don't know about other plants, but he was enjoying the.
I've heard that
Flowers.
crocus are good.
Yeah.
But the deer love the crocus.
Right.
Yeah.
And echinacea is you're pretty solid with getting pollinators on them. And they're pretty rugged. They tend to come up, and the deer don't seem to eat them here.
Ah,
Oh,
Yeah.
they eat some at my house.
You mean the leaves or the prickly? I mean, the place, the head is pretty, it's almost like a pincushion.
Yeah.
Where the petals come out.
Yeah.
It's pretty rugged stuff.
well, if people do have some plants in their yard that they want to dig up,
Yeah.
or divide up too, we can let Connie know that too. I don't want us to get into the habit of having to, eventually, I'm sure we're going to end up be the ones that have to maintain this more. But this year, she said that they're still interested in kind of maintaining things. So I'll let her know of some of these possibilities and see what
Yeah.
they want to do. Because she said they had the 2 other pollinator gardens they had done at the schools. And
Oh,
they were
okay.
planning to kind of check those out again and, maybe maintain those for most of the summer. So, yeah.
There was also a Willington Garden Club for a while. I'm not sure if it's still active or not.
Yeah, I had talked last year. I believe, I'm trying to think of Jennifer's last name. She basically is the only person now that's doing anything with the garden club. It kind of fizzled out, and she's the one maintaining the garden at the library and at the town hall. So last year she came out to give a little bit of support and guidance to the Girl Scouts, give them some ideas, but she really can't commit to anything else, she said, at this point, unless it gets rejuvenized, and maybe, we're post-COVID of sorts. Maybe that's what happened. It kind of fizzled.
And I think it's so like so many other volunteer organizations, that people are aging out.
Mm.
That's really happening a lot of places, and in all kinds of, whether it's government offices or organizational groups, people are aging out, and not younger folks aren't available to fill the gap for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's true.
definitely a trend.
So kind of going just real quickly back to the Knowlton Conwood Management Plan, like Carol said, that's been finalized. I did send everybody out a copy of the Forest Management Plan for Knowlton Talmadge. And I will ask Tish to post it on the website as well. All right. open space opportunities. So talking about the 7-acre property on Burma Road that we've been discussing. I did have a meeting with our first selectman and the tax assessor about how, if we're interested in this property, how we might get a better idea of what the value of it is. And they both recommended that if the Conservation Commission is interested, that they should go out to get an appraisal done. You know, basically get some quotes for appraisals. So I think, you know, we still have to, there's still some question marks about this property. I did have a conversation by phone with the landowner and her brother. They're both in Maryland. And she's still very interested in, you know, trying to see how she can work with the town to add this property on to Fenton Ruby Park. She said it was a very special place for her and her husband when he was alive. And, you know, she kind of was hoping that the town might be interested. And I did explain to her after having, I think I told you last meeting, we had a meeting with First Selectman, the town attorney, Public Works, Land Use Office about the status of Burma Road. And basically, the road has not been maintained for over 25 years. The town has no plan to maintain it. It was never officially abandoned, but, excuse me, officially closed, but it could be considered abandoned because it has not been maintained.
Mhm.
And basically, the property owner still has right-of-way access over the roadbed. But if they wanted to, they'd have to maintain the road or improve it themselves. The town would not be doing that. So I did explain that to the landowner, and you know, she was kind of disappointed in knowing that, but she understood what I explained. It might make the property that much less marketable, but then again, there are people that, you know, might have equipment and be interested in purchasing the property for a camp or, you know, not necessarily living there, but so it's hard to say what would happen if she put it on the market.
And Kathy, have we ever clarified what the status is for the access from the Ashford end? Because that's more my concern, is that people are not going to, other than by, we hope, by walking access from the other end of Fenton Ruby Park, because it's a fairly long distance and not that well known and that well used. But what it is readily accessible from the Ashford side. And I think we need some clarity on what actions Ashford has taken and how they're classifying that access, because it is readily accessible from that direction, and that might be a concern because that could be an open the door to people who, you know, more campfires and more, you know, variety of different things coming from that direction. So I think that's something that we need. I'd like to see some clarity on.
Well, I had a conversation with their public works director, and also when I was with our public works director, we had a phone call with him. And he said basically they don't maintain that part of the road. They haven't done it for years. And they don't have a plan to. They haven't officially closed that part of the road, but they haven't been maintaining it and don't have plans to. It's same thing as Willington, really.
Yeah, but you know, perhaps even some signage to that effect, or, you know, something. But I think it would be nice to have something in writing that, you know, that indicates how they view that for the landowner, for clarity with the landowner as well.
Well, the landowner really has her own responsibility, in my opinion.
Yeah.
She contacted Willington, and we told her from our point of view about Willington's portion of Burma Road, and it becomes Lustig Road at the boundary. And Lustig Road actually runs through Willington and then through Ashford before it hits Burma. But that part of Lustig is not being maintained by Ashford, and we did that as a courtesy and more to even understand if, let's say, we needed to access it. Let's say we had a timber harvest or something on Fenton Ruby Park up by the Ruby Trail, on that side. It was more to kind of clarify for us too. Can we access that road? Would we be able to cut the trees that are down on that road if we needed to access it too? And that's what we were told. So the property owner can get something in writing if she wants from them.
Yeah, it's just sort of a loose end, and I'm more concerned about, access. Although it's fairly well removed except for maybe half a dozen houses. It's not an area of town that many people pass through and from the Ashford end. So maybe that's not that much of a concern.
So Kathy, she had no price to put on it, or?
No, she basically wanted to see if the town would give her an offer. And I, basically explained to her at that point that we would need to have an appraisal done. And that it was very unlikely that the town would be able to offer her market value for it, because we were going to use it for open space. We're not going to put a camp in there.
Right.
We'd have to take down the house that's there, the camp that's there, because it's a safety hazard right now. There's an open cellar hole that goes underneath, and there's the building's not in good condition. Anyway, we'd have to take it down and probably fill in the cellar hole and also secure the well. There's a well on, like a cistern that pops up on the ground with a, big heavy cement top to it. So that'd all have to be secured. And so that would be a cost to the town to do that. When I spoke to Public Works, Troy said that the Public Works Department could do all that. I asked him to estimate what it would take in terms of employee time, for a cost. And he said he thought by the time they got rid of the materials, because they'd have to take the structure down and then they have to get rid of those and they have to pay to throw for those types of materials. And his employee time, it'd probably be about $3,000 that it would quote unquote cost the town. And the other thing we talked about was having the town engineer take a look at the dam. There's an earthen dam at the end of the pond. And, I was told by our town engineer that he would charge the town $350 to do that and have a written report. So there's information I think we would need before we could consider whether or not we want to make an offer to the landowner. But I have to say, I feel like she's been more than patient in some ways. Part of it's because she hasn't been in a position perhaps to even put it on the market. She's not living locally, and this whole thing with the road question mark was there. So she's being patient to try to work through what it takes to go to get a town to purchase this, because she, I explained to her all the process we have to go through and all the boards and commissions and a town vote and so on. And she seemed willing to work through that process, but not indefinitely,
Yeah, but she doesn't really realistically have a lot of options. I'm assuming that the price would be low enough that it wouldn't be something we'd apply for funding for, and that we would just try and find the money within local resources. Probably.
The only thing, I haven't driven out there, but it certainly has piqued my interest in doing so. To me, it's remote location, and it sounds to me like it has the possibility of being a nuisance property, because you could have people decide to, make it as a party field, and because it's remote and you can't get there easily, it could be very easy for that to become a nuisance place, a place where people go to hang out and not necessarily take care of it because it's not visible to many people and it's in a kind of a remote area. That's, I think we have to think about that too.
Well, I think if the town, this is my personal opinion, if the town owned the property, we could basically secure the roads. We can put gates up, we can put more stones up. If
Yeah.
somebody purchases that property and uses it as a camp or whatever, and they're maintaining the road, and they don't put a gate up, then you may have people going down there, like you're saying, to party, to throw crap, to have a campfire. It puts the town's park property at more risk, is my opinion.
Yes.
If
That's
the town
that's
doesn't own
concern
it.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other thoughts and ideas, though? I mean,
You're
it's
adding,
a nice wild.
right, and you're adding that, that extra pond that's right there with our property and just, it looks like a nice piece of property to add to what we have.
We should probably go do a site walk on it, because I have,
Yeah.
I understand where it is, but when you describe the road, it's hard to grasp. Because you have to go look at it to see
Yeah.
what
Yeah, I
it's
think-
like.
Wouldn't be a bad idea, but I think also it might make, if we could get a better handle on what the price might be,
Right.
and what some of the other considerations are in terms of cost, to make it for making the property safe, and not encouraging too much of access, because we've had incidences of campfires. We had a campfire. A bunch of people sure didn't know how to light a campfire in Fenton Ruby, one of the parks in Fenton Ruby one time, left behind a whole bunch of raw onions, semi-charred. But, it's not the first time and only time we've had that kind of problem. But having it be in a more remote area increases the risk somewhat, because it's not readily visible. And
It's like the area down on Daleville Road, closer to the end where it's paved again. That area used to be very remote, and you could hike up to the waterfall and it was pristine. Now it is, you know where I mean, Carol?
yeah, oh yeah.
You should see it now. Dave and I can't even go there because it just breaks our heart. They go in there and they're on those four-wheelers. They make fires. It's just, that beautiful place has just been vandalized to death. Because
they
it's remote and nobody watches over it, because it's not really a town. It's not like it's watched by the Conservation Commission, because I don't even know who owns that property.
Are you talking about the Yukon Forest?
Yes,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Yukon
so that-
Forest.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been cleaned up a bit, but only to a slight degree.
Mhm.
And they did have to post some signage, because the additional, some of the acreage was funded by grant funding, so
Right.
there are some trails going through there now. But there also was one of there were reports from the fire department folks that there were teenagers holding what they call farm parties, PHARM, and where they just take whatever meds they can find in their parents and grandparents' home, dump
Mix
them in
it.
a bowl, and just randomly take medications, which they say, which is really, really scary. So there have been some things that are really could be extremely dangerous for stupid kids doing stupid stuff.
So
And
getting
it
back
has
to
happened,
the-
because it could, they could be taking anything.
Yeah,
Any
right.
kinds of
So-
medicines, blood thinners and blood pressure medications and all kinds of stuff. But
So getting back
there
to
are
the
some
property
risks.
on Burma Road, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, where do we want to go from here? Do we want to have the dam assessed? I mean, we do have some money in our own budget to do that. $350 for me to go to the Board of Finance. I mean, I could and ask them for that and the appraisal money altogether. If you want, we can work on that and maybe ask to be on their next Board of Finance meeting, which would be the day after our next May meeting.
Yeah, it depends on how much we spend on some of the other things. Because we've still got $700, but we have several other things that we will probably be spending, and I'm not sure exactly how much I think the last time we got copies of the trail guide, they upped their price from $1 to $1.10 per copy. The folks at Anything Printed are very generous, but we still have to price that out, and we would have a continuing cost for the trail brochures too. So there are a few. Now, there will be some money left. There might be enough to eke that out or pay for part of it out of this year's budget and the balance in our next operating budget, because we'd be starting again from ground zero. So,
I'm estimating that the appraisals will probably come in at between 1,500 and 2,000. That's basically just from picking some people's
Yeah.
brains locally.
oh,
That's
well,
what it would
that's,
cost.
if you're talking that amount, I think that's something that could easily be done um, from either open space or
Right.
some other funding source. If we're talking a fairly small amount, it would be interesting to know, you really think we need an appraisal, or do you think we can get an estimate?
I think to be able, here's my opinion on that. I think to be able to say to the landowner, or to talk as a group and say, this is what the market value is, but here's what we think the value is to the town. We need to at least have something that says, this is the market value. If we're going to offer something underneath that, is fine, but we need to be able to even say to the townspeople, look, this is what we want to offer to this landowner. But it's actually, its market value is higher than that, because that's what's going to happen if we go to town meeting and we say we want open space funds for this purchase. People are going to say, well, you're asking, let me just throw out a number. You're asking for $30,000, but it's only worth $20,000, for example. So we need to have an understanding of what the market value is, because, we don't want to pay market value, but we also need to be able to say to the townspeople, we're not paying more than market value.
And it depends on how you classify that, and that has a lot to do with accessibility. And
Right.
so that's a really important, she's really in a landlocked situation.
Okay.
And there's really no way out, because her property is basically surrounded pretty much by the park. And so, yeah, I think maybe we need to think about this or find out more in terms of, I don't know that we want to be putting out a lot of money for appraisals. That we might end up paying more for the appraisals than the property is.
Well, then we'll have to just pick a number out of the air, because how,
I think we should get it appraised. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
it just makes sense to get it appraised, and then
well, we've found that sometimes that appraisals are inconsistent. We had that happen in the past.
Who of the people that are here tonight have actually laid eyes on this property besides Kathy? Carol,
Yeah,
you have, yeah, I haven't been there. Nora, have you been there?
yes,
Oh, okay.
And
I
Bob,
I
Bob
need to
and
take a
Pat.
ride.
I think Bob has been out there, and Bob
and Patty has,
Pat. Yeah,
Okay,
Patty's
think
been out
Dave-
there too. Yeah.
I think Dave and I are gonna have to take a drive out there and take a look at it.
Yeah,
'Cause
I can go with you. I can show you the way. It's not,
Yeah.
it's very easy to access from, if you park at the parking lot for the Ashford Park. It's very accessible from there.
Okay.
so one of us could go with you, Marilyn, if you want.
Would
Either
you go in from Losey or do you do it from?
Look,
Go from
Lustig-
Lustig.
Lustig is
Lustig.
easier.
Lustig? Lustig is easier. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll go up and see what it looks like.
And it's right, it's right by the what's the name of the Ashford Park?
Langhammer.
Yeah, Langhammer.
Langhammer.
It's right by the parking lot for the Langhammer property.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
not exactly. It's not by the parking lot. You have to go up Lustig, and then there's a house that's on your right, and then
But
you'll
it's-
see like a
it's-
goat, you'll see I've just been there recently. You'll see a goat path that's just
Uh-huh.
past the house. It doesn't have a sign, doesn't have anything. And it's past where you take the left-hand turn to go to the Langhammer
Yeah.
parking lot. So it's past that. It's not
Okay.
by the parking lot of the Langhammer. Because there's a little road to go down to get to that parking lot. I just
Okay.
want to clarify. So
Yeah.
Where was it we parked? Because we parked in a little parking area, Kathy.
well, we
when the
we
three of
parked
us
at,
went.
yeah, but we had to walk out of the Langhammer parking lot. We walked up the road and
Yeah,
then.
but it's
down-
not a long distance. It is.
Yeah, okay.
Readily
understand.
accessible.
Not that far.
I'll.
It's not that far from Fenton.
No,
Okay.
It's not far. I just wanted to clarify. It's
Yeah.
not right by the parking lot. So,
Okay, all righty.
yeah, but that is not a bad place to park and then walk out to, back to Lustig Road.
If I don't
and
make
then
it to the
follow
next
it's a little
meeting, you'll
path.
know. If I
Yeah,
don't make
why
it to
don't why
the
don't
meeting,
we,
you'll know I'm still lost.
yeah, let's sleep on this and
Yeah,
and
Well, I don't
pick
want
it
to
up again
sleep
at the
too
next
long.
meeting.
Yeah, we can,
Okay.
but I think we need to make a decision by the next meeting if we're gonna move forward with an appraisal.
Because you brought
I'm-
this up two meetings ago, 3 meetings ago, so
Yeah.
I think we need to
But we
move
also,
forward.
but we all,
And-
the question is, do we need more than one appraisal? And how many appraisals, and get some estimates of cost of those, because that we may, I can see this could be snowballing in terms of cost, particularly because of the limitations. Anyway,
Well, that's the question then, Carol. I can get some appraisals, some quotes, and I can bring them to May's meeting, but we have to make a decision. May's meeting, because then the next day I'd have to go to the Board of Finance and say, we've decided we'd like to move forward with an appraisal. We need to request some money for this. Either the Board of Finance is going to say, okay, we found $1,500 out of some other fund, and then we can move on it quickly, or it's going to have to go to the Board of Selectmen and then a town meeting to appropriate $1,500 for, I'm just saying, it's just going to take more time. So I want to start this process now. As far as getting approval from this group to get some appraisal quotes so we can vote on it next time. That's what I'm asking.
well, I'd like,
I'm
you know,
agreeable.
I think that we need to have some solid figures that, on how much it's going to cost, because the appraisals are not inexpensive.
What do we need?
Well, the
I'm not sure.
question is, do we need, we can't even come up with a figure, whether it's, actually, the town should probably be changing its ordinance, because the town at this point says that anything that costs over $5,000 has to go out to bid. So, you know,
Right, but it's
And
not
if
gonna
it's-
cost $5,000.
fine, then
Yeah.
prove it. I mean, I'm sorry, Kathy, but I know that you have a timeline, but I think we need to be well informed. And I think that's important. And I know that you have a time schedule that you're working to, but it's something that, and yes, it's been discussed, but I think that there still are some unresolved issues. So that's all I'm saying. And I
Do
think
we want to move forward with approving, an appraisal up to a certain amount of money or something?
I don't have, Jackie, I don't have a good sense of any idea. What's the acreage, Kath?
7.
It's 7
7
acres and
acres, that's not much. And, you know,
Carol, the appraisal that we had done for the Talmadge property was 16 acres and it was $2,800. So it's not going to be $5,000. So if I get some quotes and bring them forward to our May meeting, all we're voting on in the May meeting, when I bring these with the appraisal quotes back, is whether or not we want to move forward and ask the Board of Finance for money to do the appraisal, because then we'll know what the potential costs are. That's all I'm asking you this at this time. I'm not, we can't move to appropriate money, not up to us to appropriate the money. We just have to come up with the cost to bring it forward to Board of Finance and say, we're recommending that we have an appraisal done and this is what it's going to cost. And then the Board of Finance has to figure out where that money should come from. Should it come from another fund, or
We
does
also
it have to go to open space funds, which will require a town meeting?
Could we agree that we should also, before we go to town meeting, we should also ask for funding to have an appraisal done of the dam and make sure that and to bring forward estimates of cost for demolition and all of that, those costs as well, because I think we shouldn't be looking just at an appraisal. We should be looking at the other costs that would make the property suitable for use and safe from a public safety viewpoint, and for the dam and all of those considerations. So I don't think it's going to be just an appraisal. And the question is, how do they want more than one appraisal? Our experience, we had appraisal of one property where there was an extremely wide differential between the two bids. And so I'm just saying, I think we need a package that sets forward all of the costs associated with this, and then the appraisal, but we can't, I don't think we want to purchase it at market value, and I quite frankly don't think that the owner can sell it. Because they're at a difficult situation. So anyway, I'm gonna go. Good night.
Okay.
Anything else coming up that we need to act on?
No, I think those were the only things that I had on my list. Does anybody else have anything that you wanted to bring forward that would need some action tonight? Or,
So we don't have to agree on the appraisal? So we don't have to vote on the appraisal, that we're
Well-
gonna go forward with that or
No.
not?
Okay.
Next meeting, I think but next meeting, we need to have a better package that we could put forward for the estimated costs, just to get a price, so we would know what the total package would be. But that also includes the issues with the dam, that $350. I think we should throw that into the pot also.
Sure.
And some of the other things, the other costs and estimates of the cost to the town for demolition and filling the cellar hole and all of that, those costs, because those would be part of the package also. Just what I'm suggesting.
Well, Carol, that would come down to what we would need to ask the town to buy the property. I'm not sure we need to ask the Board of, again, I'm sorry if I'm splitting hairs here, but what I'm asking tonight is for permission to move forward to get some quotes, so I can bring those forward to our next meeting. And we certainly can talk about what we want to go to the Board of Finance for appropriating. But I wanted, if I do that, I have to get on their agenda. I can't wait till Wednesday, if they're having a Thursday meeting. So there's two
Right.
things I need to do. I have to go out and get some bids. And I also have to ask to be put on the Board of Finance agenda for that Thursday after our Wednesday meeting in May. So those are the things I'm just asking if the group is okay with that.
Now,
So-
is there some reason why that has to happen in May?
No, I'm just trying to move this along because the landowner's been waiting. If we get appraisals done, it could take a month before the Board of Finance may not even appropriate any money in May.
That's right.
It could take June till we maybe get some money. It's going to take an appraiser another month to come back with an appraisal. And we're gonna have to vote on that to see if we want to move that forward to go back to the Board of Finance and recommend buying the property with all the other costs. At that point, we would know. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
move this along because
But
the
there's
landowner-
also the question of asking the owner, if she has a figure in mind, because that's
I've
relevant
asked
as
her,
well.
I've asked her, Carol, and she said she would like the town to give her an offer. That's what she said to me.
Okay, well, I think we need information, and we bring forward information in May. And if by any chance that we are unable to in 24 hours make up our minds, if we, but all we can give the Board of Finance because of their schedule is something that's I don't think that's fair to the Board of Finance, quite frankly. And I'd like to see something other than just quotes on appraisals. That's my feeling. And
But all we would be doing, Carol, is asking permission. Oh, okay, we can discuss it in May. Is everybody okay with me getting?
I'm asking to discuss it in May and not just costs of appraisal, but other associated costs. So we would be being honest and upfront about other costs associated with the acquisition of the property, and not just put all of this on getting an appraisal, because I don't think that's fair and open with the town.
Sure.
I actually think that the condition of the dam is paramount. JT has run into several properties that they wished that they had not taken because of the situation with dams. Does Carl
I
Asimov
yeah.
still, look at dams for gratis in the town?
No, it's, he charges the town. He's contracted with the
okay.
town as their town engineer, but he
Okay.
told me in writing that, and I explained, you know, what the dam was like and everything, that it would cost $350 for him to go out to assess it. And he's done lots of dam assessments, and he's done them for deep as well.
Yes,
So he's well
yes.
versed in it, and he would have a written report. So $350 sounded like a good deal. I mean, I'm sure he's given the
Yeah.
town and the Conservation Commission a good
Right.
deal.
But
I
his-
think that piece is almost more important than the house and everything, because the dam, you know, it can be a problem.
Right,
And
and his report also might indicate whether there would be costs involved and issues involved. And that's important, just as important as appraisals and the other
Right.
items of business as well. And
Right.
I understand that there's a lot of interest in this property, and I have no problem with that. But I think we need to be prudent about how we move forward with this. And my own feeling is that I know that this person has put this on the market, and it's very unlikely that they will find another buyer. But we need to also be fair to the town in putting forward plans for this. And I think that doing it appropriately and thoroughly is more important than the pressure of time. That's my personal opinion.
Anybody else have some thoughts or comments on this?
I think so. The pond looked to be pretty shallow and not very large. I personally am not that concerned about the dam, because even if it did breach, there's just not a lot of water,
Okay.
and it's not like, you know, we had those extreme rain events 2 years ago, and that did a lot of damage on our property. We have 2 ponds, and it didn't look like that dam at the Burma Road property was damaged at all from those events. So I guess I may not, I'm not a professional in dam inspection, but that's my opinion.
I'm not either, Jackie, which is why I'd prefer to have somebody who is, at least take a look at it. That's all I'm saying is that we be
Yeah.
fully,
Yeah, I think
as
the
fully informed
300
as we could be in a variety of different ways before we move forward. And I don't think, I know that yes, this person wants to make some money and they want to resolve this issue, but I don't think that that it's immediate. It's the pressure is quite as intense as it might seem at this point.
Yeah, I definitely think for $350.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But if we're going to ask for estimate costs, we should
That
estimate.
sounds like a reasonable price to have it inspected.
Yeah, I think so too. I
Mhm.
think that should be done, and it shouldn't, so just appraisal should not be the only issue under consideration.
Yeah.
So then we know, I'd like to have more information. I believe in that. And I think it's important.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree with you, Carol. I think the more information we have, the better handle we have on what the total costs are. And I want to be totally upfront with the Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, the town. I'm just saying for next meeting, just to move forward on at least getting the appraisal, not the appraisals done, but quotes. So we understand what that might be
Right.
in terms of the whole package cost.
Yeah, but I think just an open discussion with them and the various issues that are involved are important too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, moving on. Wellington Wire, I did put in a one-page article just looking for new members, explaining what the Conservation Commission does. I wish I could tell you that the phone rang off the hook after that, but it didn't. And then under other, just wanted to touch base again on the idea of looking to see if there are other members of the commission. I know everyone's very busy, but there are some other tasks for the commission that I would like to ask people to consider again. Somebody who might be willing to take minutes once in a while or share that duty with someone. Also, there's other things I know Carol's very involved in, keeping track of open space records and things like that. She's very willing to teach people how to do that. We have to think about a succession plan because, we're not all going to be here forever. And how can we try to attract new members and how can we share the load a little bit so nobody gets burned out? So.
Yeah, I think it's that I might complete my current term, but I certainly, I think it's very extremely unlikely that I would go beyond that. And so that's, we're talking about time going by and there are things that we should be maintaining. And one of the things that's on my agenda is to update the open space map, but that is not as easy as it might seem because we need to make sure that we add any easements that have taken place. And we know, thanks Kathy, we have description of the
Love's
Conservation
easement.
easement, but and our map is unusual in that we show the actual easement areas, which I think is very helpful to planning and zoning and to identify what is actually what protected lands are protected. Whether we should be including them all in our preserved open spaces is another issue, but that kind of thing needs to be done, and files need to be put in order and some things like that. And I'm willing to do some of that, but people need to be looking toward the future and how the commission is going to function in the future as personnel changes happen. And that's a reality.
Okay.
I've been doing it a long time.
Oh,
Since December 1 of 1996 to be exact. And so
It's only normal that people wish to move on and they feel like they've done their time. I think it's totally understandable. It's just really sad that, as you said before, Carol, volunteering is something that is not being passed on to those who are younger than us. It just doesn't seem to be something that is appealing to people as it used to be.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a lot we can do about that because it's widespread. It's just not Wellington. It's all over the place.
oh, it's everywhere.
It's
Right.
everywhere.
Yeah.
People have a different viewpoint of things than we do. We were raised in a generation where that's what you did.
Yeah.
You joined Girl Scouts, you joined Boy Scouts, and you helped out. That was
Yeah.
just the way it
If
is.
you read the obituary for Aileen Booth and how many years she served on Mansfield's Planning and
Yeah.
Zoning Commission, something like 23 years as chairman
Yeah.
of the commission, and over 40 years altogether. Something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So that kind of public attitude toward public services is difficult. And for a variety of reasons. I'm not criticizing people, just saying that that's a reality. But
Yeah.
But we have to deal with that, finding ways to be able to function if we want to carry on and protect conservation areas for the town and do what we can to preserve the environment. Then that's something that we have to look at. Anyway, I gotta go, guys.
Okay, Carol, we'll feel better. Feel
Yeah.
well.
Okay, thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Wellington Days, next on the agenda. I had just put that out to people via email too, just to, in case there was anybody from the commission that was interested in manning a booth at Wellington Day. Excuse me, that's May 27th. It's Saturday from 11 to 3, and it's at the River Road Athletic Complex. So I didn't know if there's anybody out there that had an interest in having a booth out there. It would be free for the commission because we're town.
I'm not sure I'm gonna be around, but are they gonna bring back the white mugs?
Oh, well, we would have to bring back the white mugs.
I love my white mugs.
I know. Jackie, do you know what we're talking about? The white mugs?
No.
Oh, it's,
I have
let me, you got one, Nora, handy? I guess years ago, the Conservation Commission purchased these Fenton Ruby Park mugs, and then they sold them to raise some money for open space.
Look at that. I love my coffee in white mugs. There were about 4 of
Oh,
those.
it's got the owl on the front of it, hey?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a nice mug. Yeah.
right. That was
And
that was the top of the green. That was Labor Day, No,
Oh.
September 11th,
Okay.
the flea market.
Flea market.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember
So-
selling them at the flea market. There'd be boxes of them on the table.
I think they were like $3.
Wow.
Such a deal.
Yeah.
Throwback.
Yeah. But I did reach out to the Girl Scouts too to see if they were gonna have a table, and I let them know if they were going to, that maybe we could support them with some funds, for advertising about pollinator information or whatever. And unfortunately, none of their leaders are going to be available that weekend to do a booth either. So I just thought I'd throw it out there in case somebody was interested in doing something. It could be a conservation theme of your choosing, but
What day did you say it was? May 27th?
yeah, it's a Saturday, Marilyn. You
Yeah.
have to bring a table.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to know. I can't predict anything at this point.
Okay. So, all right, well, I just threw it out there because it takes a little planning time and we'd have to get in touch with them. So at this point, maybe next year, we'll say, maybe next year. Let's see, under new business communications, again, I don't have anything to report on that. And does anybody have any new other business you'd like to add to the agenda? Anything? Okay. All right. So next meeting would be May 17th. And I guess we could move to adjourn. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. And I hear a second?
Aye.
Okay, thanks, Marilyn. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed, want to stick around longer? Okay. All right, thank you so much, everybody.
All right, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Catch you next month. Oh, catch some of you Saturday. Okay,
Saturday, I'll see you Saturday.
okay.
Oh,
Good
yeah,
luck with
yeah.
everything at the farm. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.